the show, Bruce. Thank you so much for joining us here at The Light. I'm really excited to talk to you. You've got an amazing company with a triple bottom line, environmentally focused products like the spill cleanup, the lost circulation material for the oil and gas drilling, and also this amazing community outreach, education, and everything that's happening through the Hemp University. We also see what's happening with the Kins Village and these future plans for holistic healing communities, environmentally friendly, self-sustaining, safe havens for people who need jobs and economic opportunity and a place that they can really survive and thrive. So I was hoping to start this off, seeing that it's Veterans Day, and we've got the beautiful stars and stripes behind you, that you could tell us a little bit about the vision for this Vets Village community, and we could start off talking about that project today.
Okay, the Veteran Village Kins community is a Kins domain is a 2.5 acre parcel, and it's sort of like a back to the land movement. You have organic gardens, you have natural beehives, you bring your land to living fence, you have a pond, and in my model, you grow 1 acre of hemp. Okay, so when you're growing 1 acre of hemp on your 2.5 acre parcel, you can make $300,000 a year on 1 acre of hemp. If you're a bad farmer, 100,000. If you're a great farmer, then you can go as much as 300,000 and more. So I'm building what's called Veteran Village Kins Community as a way of rehabbing and helping veterans and teaching them how to grow hemp. So we're not just rehabbing them, we're giving them an income and teaching them a new skill set. And the prototype is out in Arizona. We have 4,500 acres out there. We build them. We're only building on 500 acres because these are 500 acre modules, and they all pretty much are duplicatable, cookie cutter Kins communities. And for those that want to see live streaming video, you can go to Hemp Inc., go to the menu, go to locations, click on Arizona, and you'll see live streaming video of the beginnings of, well, not the beginnings, we've been building it for 5 years, but you'll see this Veteran Village Kins community emerging out of the desert. And next year, you'll be able to see fields and fields of hemp being grown there.
It's very exciting. I had gone down there at the end of last March, and the progress that I see there already is really impressive with the geodesic domes. And I know that you're testing hemp cultivation there already.
Yes, this year hemp was legal in Arizona this year for the first time. It became legal June 1st. Unfortunately, the licenses did not get issued until early July, which is right in time for the heat wave to come. So we did not have a super success, but we do have a successful crop growing on about 2 acres out there. And it's more or less just experimenting and getting the right cultivars that will survive in a desert environment.
Right. A lot of big things to come at the Vets Village community in 2020, I'm sure. Well, thanks for sharing about that. Also, shout out to all of the people who serve our country. The veterans really deserve a shout out, and we appreciate them. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk about was your new King of Hemp line. And I know that this is a big deal. It's something you're very excited about. You used to be the King of Pot, now evolving to be the King of Hemp. And I thought that you could tell us a little bit about the new products that you're bringing to market, especially smokable CBD flower. Now, I've talked on my channel about the Brightfield Group estimates showing the high demand for CBD smokables in the high millions of dollars, far surpassing $50 million of market demand. And I know that it can be an alternative to nicotine products as well. Could you talk to us about those and other potential future products?
Sure. What we've done, we decided to position ourselves in the retail marketplace or in the wholesale marketplace by making smokable hemps, which are called pre-rolls, and buds. People can buy buds and they can roll them themselves. But most people like the pre-rolls because of the convenience. So what we learned when we beta tested the pre-rolls in Arizona last year was that we'd go back to a store for the third time in a row because it's their third order. They kept selling out. And the other guys were still there in their shelves. And that was because they were using stems, or they were using the stalk, or they're using the shake, or they're using the sugar flower. We don't. We use the top grade A and B buds, the highest quality part of that plant. in our smokables. It's all organically grown. It's all hemp. It's hand harvested, and our current capacity is we can do 20,000 pre-rolls a day. The next machine, which is on its way into our factory, will do 20,000 an hour. I'm going to feature on the front cover of all those smokables all the smugglers of yesteryear. You know, guys like me, all right, the king of pot, because I was a smuggler in my 20s.
Right.
The second one that comes out will be Billy Hayes, from those of you that are old enough to remember the movie Midnight Express. That's Oliver Stone's first movie, won 2 Academy Awards, and he was busted for smuggling hash out of Turkey. So he'll be the second one. And then we'll go the Daring and Dashing Smith brothers, Bobby Pat Shorn, the head of the Black Tuna Gang, and on and on and on. And I did that because that's my peer group. Those are the guys I grew up with, and they all get royalties. So I did that to help the Brotherhood of Marijuana Smugglers, as I call it. And smokables sort of hit the industry by storm. No one ever saw this coming. I did not see this coming. I mean, why would you smoke hemp? I mean, it's like smoking hay or oregano or something.
Right.
What happened when the breeders started breeding 10% CBD and above in their buds for the extractors, because they wanted high CBD, you could actually smoke it and get that CBD effect, whatever you're using CBDs for, immediately, because it goes right into the lungs, right into the bloodstream. You don't have to wait, 30, 45 minutes like you do when you go sublingually and you put it underneath your tongue. So smokables became one of the hottest things in our industry. And we were just lucky to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, that's one thing that really is taking the market by surprise. And I know it's not exactly the first thing that your company was focused on, as you've already built this infrastructure for industrial hemp with a whole materials division and everything. But now there's a lot of CBD, a lot of hemp being grown, and we've discussed this huge bottleneck in the supply chain that's going to happen as well with other farmers. You have this beautiful product that you're bringing to market, but could you talk to us a bit about this supply chain bottleneck? I know that 50 to 65% of hemp might never see a processor or a buyer, as we had discussed. So how do you see the future playing out with this?
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. 50 to 65% of all hemp grown across America will never hit the marketplace. And that's because the people that know how to grow hemp are your marijuana growers. It's the same plant. It's cannabis. So you have to know how to grow cannabis to grow hemp, high CBD hemp. But at the same time, you have to know how to scale up into a commercial venture. Growing 99 plants of marijuana is not like growing 110,000 plants of hemp. And so you're talking semis, you're talking massive amount of square footage just to hang it, to dry it, and then for a week, and then to cure it for 3 weeks. So that's where everybody missed the mark, and that's the bottleneck. There is not enough local processing centers to process the hemp. And farmers don't realize, and even the cannabis growers don't realize how much space. We grew only 42 acres. On 42 acres, we expect to go somewhere between 100 and 150,000 pounds of A and B bud. It took 200,000 square feet to process that, to dry it and to cure it. That's a lot for 42 acres. Now, I hear people talking about growing 100 acres. Well, now you're talking about, $250,000 to $500,000 square feet indoors to dry that. And that's where everybody missed the mark. There's not enough processing centers, and that's what we're excelling in as far as infrastructure. We did in Medford, Oregon, we built a processing center last year. This year, we expanded it enormously. People can go to my Facebook page and see the extent of how large these buildings are.
Oh, yes.
So that's the bottleneck. And the other bottleneck is harvesting. We hand harvest. When you get above 50 to 100 acres, you got to have the right harvester. So far, there's one right harvester on the marketplace that work good and 7 that don't work good.
Wow. And so a big part of this is, I guess, working out the kinks in the market and production for these farmers, because not nobody, but very few people have this knowledge. So could you talk to me as well a little bit about this outreach. I know that you're doing it not only in the U.S., but internationally, and at least off of the U.S. mainland in Puerto Rico, where people are really trying to get in on this industry and learn how to grow and how to move their product to market.
Okay, well, we did a little bit of a pullback because we had such a successful grow in Oregon, and we're focusing all of our attention in Oregon right now. Of course, we have a footprint in North Carolina where we actually grew there too, but that's more of an industrial manufacturing, making industrial products. And we have a footprint in Arizona where the Veteran Village Kids community is. Oregon, I did not believe it when I first heard of it. They really do grow the best hemp in America. They are the Rogue Valley of Oregon is the Napa Valley of the hemp industry, and I had to go there to be convinced. I said, no, that can't be right. A farmer can grow just as good in North Carolina or Florida or Arizona as they can in Oregon. I was wrong. You cannot beat Oregon growers. It's rated number 7A on the agricultural scale. I'm not even sure what that means, but it's something really good. Okay.
Yes.
They just grow great, and we didn't hit a home run. We hit a grand slam in the World Series with our grow in Oregon, and that's what we plan to duplicate. That grow all over with local processing centers. None of the buildings in Oregon were ready. We're hanging up our hemp to dry while we're cutting big holes in the wall and installing giant fans to get the moist air out of the building, and putting heaters in and dehumidifiers in, and so is everybody else. So what we did is we took, between last year and this year, we took a lot of data. We measured the airflow. We measured the relative humidity. We measured the temperature, right? And we got down to, we have all the data to now engineer the perfect drying and curing room. And, it'll probably end up being a 100,000 square foot building. You can't make the buildings too long because your airflow and your throughput on the air, it gets diminishing returns after 100 things. I think we got the data. We'll do the engineering. So as opposed to building a 200,000 square foot warehouse, we're probably building two 100,000 square foot warehouses, and then do it modular and scalable. So if you need 300, we'll add another 100. But we do have the data, and that's what we plan to do, as opposed to retrofitting existing buildings. We're going to go from the ground up from now on and make it possible.
Right. Now, this is one of the most amazing things that I'm seeing as well, is you guys have worked for years investing in the infrastructure, not just in North Carolina with industrial hemp, but in Medford, to make the most fine-tuned operation that you possibly could. Now this year with the plants in the ground, I saw the video and photo of the grow. Your agronomists and growers have done a fantastic job. And just doing projections on that one grow, 150,000 pounds of cola material, we could see as much revenue as $60 to $75 million coming off of that harvest when it becomes the king of hemp product and is moved to market. And that's very exciting, especially for a first run on one of potentially many future operations.
You're right about that, except for the number you just said was if we decide to wholesale all our A and B buds in poundage. If we made pre-rolls out of it, the numbers are way bigger. But we don't know what the numbers are, and I'm not allowed to make financial projections. But we really did hit a grand slam in Southern Oregon this year. We're really happy about that. Somewhere in December, we'll roll out the King of Hemp. I've already got some huge orders waiting for the King of Hemp. And the fun thing about that is I'm going to put all the old smugglers of yesteryear on the front cover of each of our pre-rolls, so they all get royalties. It's like the Brotherhood of Marijuana Smugglers. We're all working and sticking together.
Right, and that's another amazing part of this community and this company is all of this teamwork, all of this collaboration and knowledge coming together. It's a beautiful thing to see. Very exciting as well. And I know that you all are bringing to market this pre-1998 OG Bubba Kush high CBD pre-roll product, and that is very exciting. I cannot wait to get my hands on some myself. But that's, again, not even the entirety of your company's vision. So could you talk to me a little bit about the present and future opportunities in this industrial materials division and what's happening in that area of your company? I mean, I know that there are economic predictions of a potential market cap of nearly 11.5 billion by 2025 in North America and Oceania, and that's just in the industrial hemp materials market.
Okay, for industrial hemp materials market, now we're moving over to the plant in North Carolina. We have 85,000 square foot building over there. And like you mentioned earlier, we do a spill cleanup by grinding up the hemp and the canaf. So we have a canaf, which is another plant, hemp blend, and that's great for oil spill cleanups. It's great for lost circulation material. But the thing I'm most proud about that plant is we did this about a month and a half ago. We took some herd from Europe, we ground it up to the same fineness as our lost circulation material, sent it to a company in South Carolina to make hemp bioplastics. So now we're part of the supply chain to manufacture hemp bioplastics. Now, they make the hemp bioplastic pellets, and then those get ordered by a company that wants to make whatever you want to make, straws, iPhone cases, whatever's plastic cups, plastic spoons, anything made out of hemp plastic can be made with the hemp bioplastics. So that is a very, very exciting moment for me to actually, we're never going to clean up the oceans ever until we stop feeding the oceans plastics that are not biodegradable. Now we're doing a model, and my plant, I figure it's like the 4-minute mile. Nobody broke the 4-minute mile for a couple hundred years. One guy broke it, and then 30 people broke it the next 2 years. Once we demonstrate that you can make bioplastics, I hope to see a couple hundred plants similar to ours emerge in America doing the same thing and feeding the hemp bioplastic marketplace.
And that will be a very exciting thing, especially when we see businesses adopting this. I mean, there's so much potential there, endless potential really in bioplastics and that materials market, as well as building with hempcrete and so much more. I'm really excited about that part of your company, and that segues perfectly into talking a bit about the economic and even further environmental benefits of hemp and the carbon sequestration, because not only can you use it to manufacture plastics that we normally make out of petroleum and carbon, but you're pulling CO2 out of the atmosphere to create this material.
Yes, according to the science, and this is real science, hemp sequesters more CO2 than any other plant on Earth. Now, I happen to believe that global warming is real. I also happen to believe that we're right on the tipping point of dying as a planet. Because once you hit a certain tipping point, it's irreversible. So how do you stop it? You're not going to stop people driving cars. You're not going to switch over to biodiesels quick enough. The factories aren't going to stop. There's only one way to do it fast enough, and that's to plant the plant that sequesters more CO2 than any other plant on Earth, and that is industrial hemp. So that's why I do a 1-minute video every day and put it on my Facebook page, because I'm trying to educate and teach people to grow hemp and how much money you can make. If there's a lot of money in it, a lot of people are going to do it all over the world. If we can manage to get 50 million acres planted, I believe that is the number, 50 million acres of hemp, we will be sequestering enough carbon year round, because different places in the world are growing hemp different times of the world. Then we will save the planet Earth. So to me, it's a do or die mission, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, and that's why I teach everybody everything I can, from the Hemp University, where we teach people how to grow, to my online videos, teach people step by step. I expect a lot of people to watch those and then go and duplicate it. We got to get 50 million acres into the ground to save this world. Now, that may be scientifically true and may not be true. I'm not willing to bet my sons and my grandchildren's future on that.
Right, and we have to save this planet. It's really the most important issue in the world right now, is finding solutions to these big problems. And we see you with your company providing the first real solutions utilizing hemp. It's an amazing thing as well, because when these products first come to market, people can hardly believe it. As you've said in interviews, you almost sound like you're crazy talking about all the things hemp can do. But once people see hemp bioplastics or hemp buildings and the true positive effects of hemp carbon sequestration measurably through science, it's going to change the world. I really believe that. And that's one of my favorite things about you and your company is that you make that your mission. It's really admirable. But really quickly, before we go, I also wanted to ask you about the USDA rules with CBD, and if you could maybe give us a little bit of insight as to what's going on and potential changes, because we're in a public commenting period right now.
Okay, first of all, the debate is that the FDA said that they're going to add the THC and the THCA together, and that you have to be below 0.3%. That is a ludicrous proposition that eliminates about 99% of all hemp grown in America, all right? Because that 0.3%, I'll tell you how that emerged. There were some scientists up in Canada, and they were just asking, what do you think would be a low enough dose to legalize hemp, that won't get people high? And he said, well, he turned to another scientist and he said, well, what do you think about 0.3%? Nobody's going to get high on 0.3%. They go, yeah, that sounds fine. That became the hallmark for the rest of the world. There is no scientific evidence that shows 0.3%. You can go up to 1% and you're still not going to get high. All right, so they need to change that. And this is the comment section. We don't want to lose 99% of the hemp that's grown in America because of that silly rule. And that silly rule is just based on uninformed, non-scientific, 0.3%. They need to really change that, or you're wiping out. This is not the hippies protesting the war that's growing marijuana anymore. This is the American farmer. This is what made America great was our farmers. This is the small family farm. Don't penalize it. I saw this poor guy up on Facebook in, I forget where, Montana, Wyoming, Indiana, somewhere up in the central north, burning an entire pile of his hemp because it was 0.41%. That is so ridiculous. And in the public comment section that we have between now and the end of the year, people really need to get on board and let people know, change that 0.3% to 1%. Let's get some real science behind it instead of just randomly guessing.
Going into the future, as well, with this CBD regulation, making smart regulations, legalization, do you think that we can free Mary Jane and really allow ourselves to take advantage of this amazing plant?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, just like hemp sequesters more carbon dioxide than any other plant, so that becomes logical and scientific to plant a lot of hemp. The same thing goes for the police, like in New York, it's a big issue right now. They're arresting people and for hemp because they can't tell the difference. That is true. You cannot tell the difference. It used to not be true. It is now because everybody's using high CBD buds, look exactly like marijuana. The logical solution is legalize marijuana. Then you don't have to worry about, is it hemp or is it marijuana? And you don't have to arrest people and find out it was hemp and they give them back the hemp and cause law enforcement embarrassment and lawsuits. So just legalize marijuana. It's going to be legalized anyways. We really need to stop messing around, get it over with, create an industry. It's already legal in most of the states, so just go for it. Then you have no conflict. That's the logical, most sensible thing to do. And it's going to happen anyways, sooner or later. We might as well make it sooner.
Right. Well, Bruce, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's really an honor to talk with you. I guess before you go, I'd like you to say whatever it is that you'd like to say to us. And also, one last question. When do you think that we'll be able to get our hands on some of that pre-1998 OG Bubba Kush?
Okay, so here's the neat part. If you go to my Facebook page, you can actually see the OG pre-98 OG Bubba Kush being made into pre-rolls. So first you can see, if you go back long enough, the growing, then the harvesting. Then you can see us taking it out in semis and truckloads and hanging it up. Now, if you look, you'll see it's all in the curing phase. So the curing phase takes 3 weeks. So 3 weeks. So I figure we'll cure it all this month. And somewhere in the beginning to mid-December, we'll be rolling out the pre-rolls. So that's where you're going to look for it. And certainly all of next year, we'll be rolling out and perfecting the different brands with the different smugglers on it. And each different smuggler will have a different brand, a different taste, a different flavor.
Right on.
We will be doing blends and different, T1s. And there's another strain that's legally below the threshold of 0.3%. So we're legal, by the way. Our Bubba Kush is above 15% CBD, which is good for the effect, and below the 0.3% with the THC and THC added together.
Wonderful. Oh, it's so exciting. Thank you so much again for joining me here on the show. It's a pleasure talking with you, Bruce, and I can't wait to see what's coming in the future. You just keep up the good work, and I hope to talk to you again very soon.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacob. It's a pleasure talking with you. Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day to you as well. Good night, Bruce.
Good night.